Congressman, thank you very much for being on the program this morning. So you have to look sideways when an officer is charged before an investigation is complete. What do you make of that situation?
Well, what's really sad is, as you well know, in our country, justice is supposed to be blind to not only grace, it's supposed to be blind to socioeconomic conditions, but it's also supposed to be blind to politics. And here's the problem. Paul Howard's in the middle of a re-election campaign. He's in the middle of a runoff. He decides to go out and charge these officers, and frankly, in an interesting way, he charged them. But he does so before the investigation is even, from the GBI, is actually done. This is not about justice. This is about politics. This is about re-election, and that needs to be addressed. And he needs to step aside so that the Attorney General can appoint an independent prosecutor to actually find justice in this case.
Well, the Attorney General responded to your calls for this. Here's a portion of that tweet. It said, our office can appoint another prosecutor if a district attorney disqualifies him or herself, or a court disqualifies him or herself. Do you believe he has disqualified himself?
I think he has disqualified himself from this perspective. If you look at it and how it went about and how these charges came about and how quickly they came about and under the political circumstances. Look, we had the Aubrey case down in Brunswick in which the Attorney General said that there needed to be a hard look at, and then there eventually was a prosecutor who recused, and they appointed an independent one there. I think it is very much invaluable for the other elected officials in Georgia, especially our top law enforcement officer, to have that ability to encourage Paul Howard to do the right thing. And if not, a court can also say that as well. But what we have to have here is justice for these officers. Remember, the Atlanta Police Department has been doing a job. These officers are going to work, and then when you have a district attorney who seemed to put politics before justice, that's a problem, and these officers deserve better than that.
Congressman, we did reach out to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office for comment, did not hear back. Quickly, you talked about the Atlanta PD. What's your sense of the morale of the troops there trying to enforce the rule of law?
I've been getting a lot of calls and a lot of friends who have worked there and also in law enforcement around the state. We have a large contingent of law enforcement who we have dealt with all the time. They're very concerned. Their morale is down. And when they see this consistently happening, especially in the last couple of weeks, with this district attorney, it makes it hard to get up and go to work. And for the families, you just got to hurt for them because they need to have someone who is looking at justice for all sides. When bad things happen and police officers do bad things, they need to be held accountable. Mm-hmm. But they also need they also have to have the presumption of justice and due process, and that's not what we're seeing right now.
This is a personal thing for you, Doug. Your dad was a Georgia State Trooper. It is Father's Day. Reflect on him and his service to Georgia.
Well, I'm so blessed to still have my father, but I got my training in justice and fairness from him. I saw what public service looked like when he would go out. You know, for 30+ years, he went out on the road, and he took care to take care of people. I watched him when he came home. He cried when children were killed in accidents. I saw him when he went in and came home with his uniform torn and blood on it from when he was in fights, putting his own self at risk. And when you look at those kind of things and the sacrifice that he made over the years, it's just, I love my dad and I'm proud of him. And those are the kind of things that make me know that the vast majority of our police officers do this because they love their communities, they love their country, and they want to do what is right. And we need to make sure that we hold them accountable, but at the same time, we also must open our arms to them as well.
Well said. God bless your father. Thank you for his service.